All right, so I finally switched over to my Hunter this far into Edge of Fate. I grinded out everything on my Titan for well, up until a week ago. So I was literally just playing my Titan from the release of Edge of Fate up to a week ago on a daily basis, and that's it. I didn't touch my Hunter or my Warlock. Um, until a week ago, I switched to my Warlock, and I made maybe 7 Warlock builds, and then I ended up narrowing it down to I kept the builds, but I mainly just played 2 builds when it came to Portal stuff, and Onslaught and Match Made Fire Team Ops, and the occasional Exotic and Pinnacle Ops. I don't touch solo ops personally, and then of course farming the Mythic Loot Cave, so I got all the armor that I needed on my Warlock within a week. And yeah, I made enough builds, okay? And throughout this process, I wanted to make this video because I think this might be valuable advice, because it's quite overwhelming with this Frontiers expansion and Edge of Fate and all the new armor and all the featured gear and the way that you have to manage your vault. And I have to admit that at the beginning, I was very much my vault was in a state of crisis. Actually, up until I switched to my Warlock about a week ago, which is funny because it took me switching to my alt to realize, at the onset you're thinking, well, this is going to be impossible. How am I gonna store Warlock armor now on top of my Titan armor when my vault is at 700 out of 700 constantly? And I ended up just developing kind of my own method to clean out my vault. And for some reason now, like, my characters are like half full and my vault is just sitting at like 650, and I could basically offload anything I want into there and clean it out easy, because there's no point in keeping most of the shit that Bungie gives you in Edge of Fate, and frankly, there's no point in keeping a lot of the older stuff too, right? I'm not talking about your legacy legend, your legendary weapons, your enhanced weapons, your craftable weapons. I'm keeping all those, and I have like over 100, maybe between 100 and 150 legendary weapons that I'm not going to delete, because there's no way for me to refarm them, and I don't want to invest Ascendant alloys into recrafting, since there's apparently no way to get Ascendant alloys regularly now, or at least not in the mainstream part of the game. But yeah, the armor, once you have a few good armor sets, that's all you really need, and it's super easy to farm new ammo. Like, armor, I'm probably late to the party here, but Bungie has given us so much loot. Okay, so once you get to 450 to 500, you just start getting tier 5s, right? Once you start getting tier 5s, there's literally no point to keep anything less than, right? Unless you're not playing the game at all, and yet you're just short on things. But the goal should be to get to tier 5, and then you really only need 1 copy of every weapon, right? So like this Mint Retrograde that I got in my Hunter's hands here, it's got 9 different perk combinations. That's the same thing as putting 9 Mint Retrogrades in your vault, but Bungie has actually reduced your vault space 9-fold by giving you tier 5 weapons with 6 perks, right? 3 in the left, 3 in the right. That 3 times 3 is 9 different rolls. There's 9 unique rolls on that weapon. They shower you with these weapons in every single activity. You do Onslaught, you walk away with like 13 weapons. Like, at least 7 or 8 of them are going to be tier 5s. Okay, there's basically, if you just do like 1 Onslaught a day, or every other day whenever it's match made, say, you should have all the god rolls that you need in just 1 single weapon, right? Now, okay, so that allowed me to clean up my weapons in my vault very easily. I'm like, wow, okay, so despite having all these weapons and despite everything looking good, and it's yeah, you just need one tier 5 weapon per, right? In some cases I've got like 2 or 3, but that's because it's like I only had tier 4 festival flights. Now I have no way to get tier 5 festival flights until Bungie decides to re-release festival flights. I just replaced my heavy metal eager edge sword that was a tier 4 from heavy metal because I was only like 450 back then. There wasn't many tier 5s. Now with Arms Week, I got tier 5, right? So I could just delete the old shit, right? Um, anyways, so now that I'm on my hunter, I'm like, wow, now I could just clean up my vault even more. I can just delete all this old armor. What's the point in keeping anything um, that's not new armor, right? If it doesn't fit into the archetypes, then there's just not much point in keeping it, and there's really not much point in keeping non-featured gear unless it's like a god roll, right? Because it's very easy to focus new exotics. But anyway, so like I said, whatever it was, 3 months on my Titan, 1 week on my Warlock, and now I should be able to make like 5 or 6 builds on my Hunter today. Actually, I could probably do it in this video. Okay, so I just going to show you how easy it is to master your other classes, at least as far as like being kitted out and having a base build ready to go to start testing in the portal without feeling like you're underpowered and punished and you just don't have anything, right? So I think I did a pretty good job in figuring this out. And it was kind of an evolutionary process. And you're probably going to be like, yeah, duh, I already knew that. Anyways, so here's what I did. I put all my shit that I don't want on my Warlock and my Titan, right? So then my vault space looks like this. My Titan and my Warlock have maxed out weapons. Like they're carrying like 20 different ergo sums, right? Because we still have this ergo sum problem, right? Yeah, so my Titan is full of ergo sums, my Warlock is full of ergo sums, and I still got this many in the vault, and none of them are identical. Anyways, so yeah, they've got a bunch of weapons. That's it, right? They're not stocked up on armor. All my armor, extra armor is in my vault, right? And it looks like this. So I mean, and my Titan and my Warlock are also carrying like a lot of my old God Roll enhanced weapons and crafted weapons. This is another rule of thumb that I have in my vault now is no weapon goes in here for more than like, a day or so. Unless it's masterworked, right? The only weapons that are allowed in my vault are masterworked. Okay. If it's not worth masterworking, then it doesn't deserve a spot in my vault. That's just a personal rule I have for myself. And as you can see here, like I'm still working on replacing some of my tier 4 weapons with tier 5. So this lionfish is a tier 4, and I would just delete it now. I haven't even used it, to be frank, but say I do decide to hit the raid in the next week or two, right now that I've kind of got all my characters up to speed, and I expect to get my hunter up to speed today or tomorrow this week. Maybe I'll need lionfish. I don't know. I just don't know the raid meta, right? And the weapons keep changing. Who knows? But anyways, this is like a semi-god roll, right, for a tier 4. Now that Onslaught is in Pinnacle Ops and it's match made, I'm probably going to get a tier 5 anytime now, and it's just going to flat out replace this, and I could delete it, right? And yeah, so festival flights, like I said, I got a couple here. This one doesn't have attrition orbs or demo, so I'm not comfortable deleting my demo attrition orbs tier 4, even though this is a tier 5, but I do still use this with Blast Distributor and Frenzy on grenade builds that I want to easily get up to 200 grenade stat, right? Like think Warlock Helion, Controverse Hold, Touch of Thunder Pulse grenades on Titan, right? So I'm sure it's going to have some use for my Hunter as well. Right, so I'm going to keep that until Festival Flight comes around again, and then eventually I'll get a Blast Distributor, Frenzy, Demo, Attrition Orbs, Slice, and then I could just, that'd be it. That's all I need. Okay, so yeah, so then I took my favorite weapons, or weapons that I'm expecting to use or want to use on my hunter because I've been using them on my Titan and my Warlock, right? I took a couple new weapons. So this way everything is already up to power, right? So you can see like it took me like half an hour to take my Warlock, my hunter from 10 to 495, delete all of my old armor. All of my old legendary armor is gone, deleted. And I used the prisms and ascendant shards that I got from deleting those to immediately enhance new exotics with archetypes. You might be asking, well, how did you get the armor 3.0 exotics so fast on your hunter, right? Well, obviously I just went and I claimed everything from the rewards pass, right? So there's literally no exotics left to claim in here except for ones that I have yet to level up to, right? Everything below 105 I've already claimed. I even went into my old seasons pass on the app on my phone, because you could just check your old pass and you can claim exotics, right? If you claim the exotics on your hunter, it's a once per account use, but they just give you so many exotics. So no joke, I probably claimed like 50 exotic engrams. I had to continuously sit at Raoul and this way, because I already used all like the 20 tokens that Bungie gave us with Edge of Fate, right? You can use those at 8/1 to just get free guaranteed archetypes, right? I already did like 75% of them on my Titan over the 3 months that I was grinding, and then I claimed a couple on my Warlock. I got 0 left, right? So the only way for me to focus exotics is with Raoul by using ciphers, exotic engrams, or ascendant shards, right? And those are limited resources. So this was the easiest way for me to just pile up a bunch of exotics on my hunter, was just claim everything from past rewards pass, and just don't focus them, just claim them, right? You're just gonna get all kinds of random exotics. Okay, so almost all of these, like I claimed 2. I spent 2 ciphers to focus Gifted Conviction, right? Because of course, I'm like, well, Gifted Conviction is probably going to be the easiest build to start with because it was meta for the last year. And it's still going to be meta for damage resistance, especially when I'm like just re-familiarizing myself with my hunter. Right, in Endgame and Mythic Loot Cave to farm stuff, like it's going to be a pretty, it's going to be the easiest way to stay alive, most likely, right? So I focused that, and that was it. And then all the other stuff that I claimed, you can see I have some Masterwork stuff here, like Bacchus, Specialist, perfect. Nighthawk, in case I do need it to go into Desert Perpetual, but I think Star Eaters might be more meta. So I've got featured Archetype 3.0 Star Eaters, Frosties, featured gear. I only wanted to like invest into featured gear stuff. I kind of like that Bungie set these rules for featured gear. It's like, okay, challenge me to make a build with these limited number of exotics. I like the concept. It's not even really about the fact that you get a little bit of extra damage resistance or weapon damage. I just kind of like this rule set where Bungie's like, okay, we're going to randomize some stuff for you to, force you to try out, because it does get stale when you just always use the same builds. It does get stale, right? So I kind of like being forced into this little challenge, which means I'm not going to use any exotic class items on my hunter, right? Unless it's absolutely necessary for a raid, like for the same story as like Nighthawk here, just because I don't want to let down, fire team members if we're doing like, 5 feet raids or something where the difficulty is way up there. Otherwise, for portal stuff and just farming, casually playing, I'm going with featured gear. So I got all these exotics masterworked and everything because I deleted so much armor, right? You just get so much, like all the armor in your vault. If your vault was 700 out of 700 and you're complaining, you could look at it this way: it's a pile of gold, right? You just delete all the old shit that you don't need. You're sitting on stacks and stacks and stacks of bars of gold. So you play this little mini game, you claim stuff from the rewards pass, you masterwork a good exotic if you get it from from decrypting random engrams from Raoul, and then you go and you just delete. So you just leapfrog back and forth between your vault, deleting stuff, masterworking new stuff. I did this within like an hour or so. Okay, and then my vault looks like this for my hunter's armor. Okay, so I just have a Mask of Fealty. I got like 3 of these, or 4 actually. And this was the one that I saved, and it's still not very good because none of them had melee, right? What are the chances? So yeah, I'm gonna hold off on making a Mask of Fealty build for now. I never really got into the Mask of Fealty build last season in Heresy either, even though it was pretty good. I was just kind of stuck on other builds, right? So we'll see. But I think I'd prefer a better roll, at least one that has melee. So I'm not going to invest anything into it, but I'll keep it just in case because, I'm all out of exotic engrams now, right? So now I'm going to have to start spending resources to get more. So I'm just going to hang on to one decent copy of each that I think I might use, right? Yeah, so I got a few arm pieces here. I'm probably not going to use these. Basically, the ones that I thought I would use, I masterworked and they're on my character, right? But I got all these kind of as backup builds if I get interested or if I need to make those builds. Lucky. The only thing is I deleted my masterwork Lucky Pants old exotic, and I never got, despite decrypting 50 exotic engrams, I didn't get a Lucky Pants. So I will, and I do want to make a Lucky Pants build because it's featured gear. And it's quite good with hand cannons, obviously. So I was looking forward to making that. So once I, get a little bit of once I get some more exotic engrams, I will go and I will just focus it from Raoul, right? So that's the only thing that I wanted that I didn't get. But I mean, look at all these backup Radiant Dance Machines, Specialist, Balance of Power, Specialist, right? For the Threaded Specters, now 3 aspects on Strand. Clones are very good, so I'm interested to try that out. But yeah, I basically, and then I've got all my cloaks there, which I'm probably just going to keep on the bench until they become featured, right? Or like I said, unless I need it. So yeah, my vault's looking really clean here. I got basically everything I need to start. So I went into the rewards pass and I just claimed the full set of smoke jumper armor, right? I deleted all of my loadouts. There's no point. Start fresh, right? So my hunter's all up to power, and now I can go ahead and I can build craft, except for Celestial, right? So here I can. So that's what I'm going to do now. Everything that I've talked about up to this point is just kind of explaining how I got here with my hunter so fast in just an hour or two sitting around on the couch on a Sunday morning. And as soon as I hit it like an onslaught, like one onslaught, as long as it's match made, because I don't feel like playing with modifiers, and I like the -40 difficulty. It's fun. As soon as I get into, or I'll just do some reclaim, like maybe a couple of reclaims. If I do either a couple of reclaims on ultimate, or if I do one match made onslaught, I will have a full set of tier 5 armor guaranteed. And then you just start fine tuning the armor from there, and then I could hit the loot cave, right? I could just go straight to the loot cave if I want, because I did cheat. I did skip the campaign. Yeah, whatever. I play the game all the time. I don't care. So, okay, Bacchus, right? Gifted Conviction. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make some loadouts for the builds that I plan on making and testing. And it doesn't mean that I'm going to use all these builds like Oath Keepers, right? It just sounds fun because I really like this new bow, the Mercury. Very fun. And we've also got the Submersion crossbow, and I got this like amazing 5 out of 5 god roll back when I was like 470 in power. As you can see here, it dropped at 474. Right, I probably upgraded it a couple times. So it was like one of the first tier 5s I got. It was like, I got it from Iron Banner, but I got charged bolts, so damage over time, chill clip, more damage over time, perfect for like bolt charge, other stuff. Ultralight rail is pretty good. Velocity, can't complain, right? And then if I want to switch this to a full like DPS roll, I just go with heavy bolts, right? And impulse amplifier and aggregate charge, right? So I got max damage for boss DPS, max utility for auto-loading chill clip with charged bolts. Okay, so maybe that plays into Oath Keepers. I don't know, but it sounds like it could be fun. Too bad Leviathan's Breath isn't featured. So let me hit up the loadouts here. I'll just explain some of the weapons, what I was thinking here. Everything, pretty much everything here is already like up to power because I've been using them semi-regularly, except for this like Aureus Neutralizer. I got it from Trials back when I was 460 power, and I've never really used it because I just don't really like the feel of the spread shot hand cannons, or hand cannons in general for that matter. On my Titan and my Warlock, at least, compared to auto rifles and SMGs. Being a controller player, that could be a big factor. But I do love bows. Bows feel great on controller, much better than like scouts, pulses, and hand cannons. Right, slower firing, precision-based weapons, except for bows, are amazing on controller. Actually, I don't know. I think I just phrased that wrong. I think I meant vice versa. Anyways, bows, really good on controller. Pre-Asianics here, I've got this, I've got everything I need here with incandescent and explosive head, or I can try burning out ambition if I want to add some scorch, but typically I like explosive payload, explosive head. The only weapons here that are low in power are Heart Shadow and Acreus, but they're featured. I'm thinking Acreus could have some synergy on a grapple melee build with Gifted Conviction, or just Ascension in general, right? And play into some of that, or Bacchus, Mask of Bacchus with Acreus, right? So maybe it'll finally see some light of day in my builds, right? Once I hit the raid, obviously I'm going to be, certain weapons that I don't have here are probably going to, come to the forefront, right? But as far as I understand, pretty much everything is just mint retrograde or new Malpai and the rocket launcher, which I've got a couple of tier 5 Haliatuses and folded roots that are god rolls, right? So these are the weapons I'm expecting to use, probably most likely on my hunter, with a couple added in here that I just want to try that I have yet to really focus on, like Aureus Neutralizer with Vorpal and 1-2 Punch, and this Forced Memorializer that I got from a Widow's Court on my Warlock the other day with Explosive Head, Payload, and Kinetic Tremors, and Bewildering Burst, and Ancillary Ordnance. The only thing it's missing is Attrition Orbs, which I think it gets Attrition Orbs, right? The only thing is, Attrition Orbs and Kinetic Tremors, obviously it's a god, keep it, but typically, it has a way more utility on SMGs and ARs and close quarter weapons, sidearms, stuff like that. On bows, scout rifles, you're typically only using those weapons if you're sitting at a distance, so what good does it do you to have the orb, be far away from you where you're not, able to retrieve it as easily, right? Whereas explosive payload is going to give you like infinite range. It's going to give you enhanced utility for stunning champions, right? So you get a double damage perk here from range instead, which is also why I have like demo and KT on this bow, and I deleted my attrition orbs even though it's cool, right? This bow is not a close range type of weapon, right? But yeah, getting a little sidetracked here. So I just want to save these loadouts so I have, these base builds to start with. So let's go ahead and save Gifted Conviction. I'm not even going to really do anything with these armor pieces yet, because as soon as I get a tier 5, it's going to replace them immediately. So I'm not going to masterwork them. I'll just probably throw on the mods that I want for Gifted Conviction, right? Which I could theory craft them right now. But first, let me just save the loadouts that I got. Okay, so back to Smoke Jumper, and then the next, right? So Gifted Conviction is kind of, why did I start here at number 5? Because I like to keep these 4 slots grayed out as blank canvases for hot swapping in like dungeons, raids, where there's not locked equipment. Say I just farming an activity and I need like a specific build, I can just copy them from here, paste them up into here, modify them a little bit, and then they're good to go for like a farm or a raid or a dungeon or whatever, something specific. So my base builds are going to sit here in the middle, right? Like my foundational builds. So Gifted Conviction is number 1 actually, even though it says number 5. Then I'm thinking Bacchus. I'm most excited to try Bacchus, so I could make that number 2 for now. And then back to Smoke Jumper, and then let's see, Oathkeeper. Frosty sounds cool. Did dodging always speed up your sprint, or because I never really used Frosties that much, but the fact that it's featured gear got me interested. Stompies is not featured, and that was like, you know, your alternate traversal exotic to use if you really needed that extra jump height, jump acceleration, right? So, but Frosties, you know, this sounds like it could be really fun for speed running some stuff in the portal, right? As long as I have the survivability, you get increased ability regen just from sprinting, right? But you dodge, you get enhanced sprint speed. That sounds super fun with like grapple, ascension, eager edge sword. Yeah, increased sprint speed, right? Because hunters also just got they just got their base mobility to like pre-Edge of Fate tier 10 mobility, which is what I always wanted to have on pretty much all of my hunter builds. I mean, I was fine with like tier 5, but ideally like tier 7 or tier 8, and then you can upgrade it with lightweight weapons to tier 10. Right now, everything's just tier 10 for free, right? So imagine, like, I'm just thinking sounds like it'd be very fun. It'll give me that hunter vibe that you just don't get on Titan and Warlock, but even more pronounced now. So I'm looking forward to that. So maybe I will make that number 3 from a portal perspective, right? So I got Bacchus. So let's do that. We'll do Frosties here. And then Star Eaters, because I think that's going to be a no-brainer, especially with, I heard it's really good with the Strand Whip, Silk Strike, right? Whether it's on Core Strand or Prismatic, or just, I mean, yeah, Star Eaters. The super regen is insane now, right? Like, playing on my Warlock for the past week, I was mostly just sitting with the Boots of Assembler boots there, spamming rifts and spamming wells, literally back-to-back wells at 100 super. That's insane. Yes, like super regen is just crazy now, right? It makes a lot of the non-prismatic builds also extremely viable, right? So I think running a Star Eater Scales build is going to be OP for farming stuff that I plan on farming, like Pinnacle Ops, like Galron, Heffend, right? Obviously, if I'm going to be hitting up the raid, Desert Perpetual, I think Star Eater is going to be a no-brainer to have. It's going to be a necessity. So, you know, these aren't necessarily in order priority, right? It's most likely what I'm going to use or what I want to use, right? Okay, so now I've got Star Eater saved. Okay, back to Smoke Jumper. And then I've just got Oath Keepers. I don't even think I'm going to, because, you know, now that I just spoke about, had a little think about Star Eaters there, like, what's the point? I mean, yeah, Nighthawk is a little bit better burst DPS, but its neutral game is crap. It's not featured, so you're kind of penalized. Is Golden Gun really even meta, right? It sounds like Silk Strike is more meta for some of the current boss DPS stuff. But if I really wanted to, I could just swap to Golden Gun on Prismatic or Solar and still just use Star Eaters and basically do similar damage, right? Similar. So, I mean, I'm not even going to make a Nighthawk build. I'm just going to store that. And then, yeah, so I'll just do a Oath Keeper build. I haven't even used Oath Keepers ever, right? So I just want to experiment and see how it goes, right? And then obviously when I get Lucky Pants, I'll get build number 6 in here. But yeah, anyways, that's going to be it for this segment. I just need to save my voice, and then I will probably add a second segment here or another video as to the actual theory crafting of these builds. But now I've got, like I said, I've got 5 builds ready to go, and 1 or 2 portal missions. I'll have tier 5 armor, so I could just replace all of these tier 2 pieces with tier 5s and start fine-tuning those builds, right? I'll hit up the loot cave, hit up some tech sec and some smoke jumper and fire team ops, and hit up some Bushido in pinnacle ops. I don't really use Bushido as much, but I still don't really know, what I'm going to be using mostly on my hunter. So plus I'm addicted to Onslaught, right? If Bungie ever takes Onslaught out of the game, like, I might have a tough time keeping interest. So Midtown, Widow's Court, I wish they were match made every day. I wish they had randomized fixed modifiers every day. I like that match made version. Yeah, but the Bushido armor's not bad, especially if, oh yeah, because look, right? I ended with Oathkeeper. You gotta go with Bushido armor, right? Because then you get the damage resistance from using your bows. Plus, you're always reloading bows, which means that you're always proccing, or often proccing, the Bushido healing, right? So, I'm definitely gonna need a set of tier 5 Bushido armor if I plan on really messing around with Oathkeepers, right? Anyways, catch you in the next one.